Welcome back, my students, and today in our comic class we're going to be talking about the King in Black Marvel event. A few days back, we got to see that the first issue came out, King in Black, and yeah, I just got around to reading it and decided to make a video, so let's talk about this. So, King in Black is basically, I'm guessing, a story that deals with Knull, the god of the symbiotes, coming to Earth to kind of like take it over and try to get the symbiotes from Eddie and his son. I'm not sure if he already has Carnage slash, Cletus Cassidy's symbiote yet, but I'll find that out later on, guys. But yeah, so let's just jump right into what happened in this issue. So the issue started off with Venom sending an alert to all the Avengers to get ready because Knull is making his way to Earth and he's very close. One thing I will say is that the artwork of this comic is fantastic. Whoever the artist was did a really good job. So the Avengers pretty much, get ready to go on the attack. They have kind of like a backup plan, backup line of attack where they use these type of explosives to try to take down as many symbiotes that are with Knull as possible. But pretty much Eddie basically tells Iron Man that his explosives that he used with Kree and Skrull technology basically only took out a few hundred of them, and there has to be at least 1 million or so of them. So it pretty much didn't even make a dent in Knull's forces. And they finally made, landfall basically, and they arrive in New York City and around the world. And it's crazy, just the amount of damage that they're causing. Now, we get to see that Eddie is taking Dylan, which is his son, to the sanctuary, the little safe that Ezekiel made for Peter during the story arc where I believe his name was, what was his name? Moreland, the vampire-type Spider-Man villain. When he fought against Spider-Man to keep Spider-Man safe, Ezekiel made that little safe. So I really like that they used this little throwback to that run back then, that early 2000 run of Spider-Man. That was pretty cool. Now after this, we get to see that a lot of different forces are arriving to fight against Knull's forces in New York City, I'm guessing. We get to see that the X-Men arrive, and the X-Men is no joke. They do have a few Omega level mutants on the field. I believe Cyclops is considered Omega level, Jean Grey, Storm, and Cable. I'm not sure about Wolverine if he is or not, and Charles Xavier is pretty much giving them their orders and stuff, which is pretty cool. But they're not doing that great against Knull's forces, and eventually it's revealed that Knull, while he was heading to Earth, defeated some Celestials and kind of took them with some symbiotes, I'm guessing. I'm not sure that's very possible or not, but it happens in the story. So as well as fighting against all these dragon symbiote forces, they have to deal with some Celestials as well. And you can tell by everyone's face that they realize that there's pretty much nothing they can do other than hope for their backup, which ends up being the Sentry. Now, Knull arrives out of this portal, and it's probably my favorite panel in the entire issue. It's a very fantastic look at Knull. He has this type of symbiote-made sword. I believe that he's been in other comics before, so I'll have to go read those. The Venom run by, I forgot what his name is, I think it's Donny Cates, doing the Venom run. I believe it ended soon. So, ended recently. So I'm gonna have to go check that out to get more context for Knull. Because I have heard that he has used the sword, but yeah, so he has a sword. Basically has full control over the symbiote army. And he's a very powerful individual, as we'll learn right after. So the Sentry pretty much shows up. He's the Avengers backup plan, because Thor's not here yet. And Sentry is no joke. He's a very powerful superhero, but he actually kills one of the Celestials. And this doesn't go, lightly with Knull. He's not happy that the Sentry basically killed one of his Celestials. He wasn't expecting anyone to be powerful enough to actually do that. So the Sentry basically has Knull, he goes up to kind of face the Sentry, and the Sentry pretty much thinks that Knull's going to be kind of pushover. It turns out not to be the case, as Knull just grabs the Sentry and rips him in half, basically saying that the void that's inside the Sentry, which is a type of dark version of the Sentry, pretty much bows to him because he is the Lord of the Abyss, which is a very cool line. This is probably the moment that a lot of people are going to remember about this first issue in the story arc, because this is a pretty crazy feat for Knull to do, to rip the Sentry in half. Because the Sentry is so durable, he's pretty much Marvel's version of Superman. So for Knull to do this with his bare strength, it's looking pretty hopeless for the Marvel Universe right now. So I can't wait to see how this story progresses and the fights that are going to be coming after. I mean, Thor versus Knull is going to be amazing. But Knull basically uses his symbiote and his symbiotes to kind of like envelop the Earth, which is a really cool visual. So he puts the Earth into darkness where the sun can't get through by basically putting a symbiote barrier around the entire Earth, and we get to see what that looks like from an outside shot of the Earth, and it's super cool. So Thor is basically not there, so Storm is kind of like filling in for him using her lightning powers, and pretty much Knull just makes quick work of her, and despite how much lightning she's shooting out, she's no match for Knull's physical ability, even though she has his weakness. And everyone can kind of see that, everything's just going completely south. So, seeing that he has no choice, Venom basically decides, him and Eddie, that they're going to have to let Knull know where their presence is, and Knull has this very cool panel where he uses a giant symbiote hand to try and grab Eddie and bring him up to where he's at. And this is where Knull reveals that he's not looking for Eddie, but his son. Because he wants both their symbiotes. So I'm guessing the son has a symbiote as well. I haven't read the Venom run, so I'm guessing that's the case. So that's gonna be cool for me to check out with the Venom run. But yeah, so Knull basically just strips Eddie from Venom, basically. Or I guess you could say it's the other way around. He stripped Venom from Eddie. He absorbed it. So now Eddie is powerless to save his son. So Knull's going to be after Dylan. So I'm wondering who is going to be protecting Dylan from Knull, or if Dylan's going to get out and trying to signal to Knull himself, and we're going to get that confrontation. I do think it's possible that Dylan's going to be absorbed, at least a symbiote, and when that happens, maybe he'll never get his symbiote back. He'll just be a normal kid. Very possible that is a possibility. But yeah, and so the story ends with Knull just dropping Eddie to his death, and we don't know what's going to happen with Eddie. I do believe Thor might show up and save Eddie from dying, as I don't believe they're going to kill off Venom. Eddie Brock's a very popular character, but I was surprised that they killed off the Sentry. At least that's what it seems, because he cut him in half, ripped him in half to be specific. Yeah, so overall, King in Black issue 1 was pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to be this good. I think a lot of people need to realize, if they were hoping for a lot of action, this is issue 1. Usually in comics, the first issue is just a setup. So for us to even get a scene like Knull ripping the Sentry in half is awesome. And the Celestials as well, getting a kill off of them with the Sentry killing one of them was cool to see too. And Celestials in general being there, making Knull such a big threat, other than just his physical strength itself and his command over the symbiotes, being their god basically. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Overall, King in Black issue 1, I would recommend it. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below to go check out Comixology, go support your comic shops and comic industry. And yeah, overall, very good issue. I can't wait to read issue 2. When it drops, I will have a review of it on this channel, hopefully on the same day, whenever it's released. This time, guys, God bless you. Remember, stay super, and until the next lesson, I'll see you guys later.